Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
Welcome to the Motivated Martial Artists Podcast with me, Gavin Cook.
And me, Jackson White.
And today we've got Kelly Bluett in with us today. So Kelly, business owner, she owns a gym called the Iron Master Gym, which is based in the Forest of Dean. She's also the complete body coach and is also the IBFA Miss England 2017. So hello, Kelly. Nice to have you on the show today.
Hi, thanks for having me along.
No problem. So I'm just going to pass you over to Jackson, who's got the first question all lined up for you. So.
Hi, Kelly. Good to have you onto the show.
Hi.
So kick off with our first question. Really just get a bit of an insight into your early life, your childhood, schools, early hobbies, etc. Just to introduce yourself really to our audience.
Okay, so I'm from a small family. I'm one of two. So I've got a younger brother, and then my dad was a carpenter and my mum's a nurse. And originally we were in Bristol, but when I was about 7, my parents decided to move us all to the beautiful Forest of Dean in Gloucestershire. And other than living in a couple of other places, I lived up in Edinburgh for a little while and some other places locally. I've kind of been in the Forest of Dean most of my life, really. But yeah, I had a great childhood. Being brought up in the Forest of Dean meant we spent lots of time outdoors. I was never a really girly girl, so golfing around with the lads, building tree houses and mucking around with cars in fields mostly. Hobby-wise, I didn't come from a sporty family, so none of my family were gym goers. My mum played a bit of badminton. My dad was mostly into cars, which is probably I'm a bit of a petrol head, so we used to do track days and hill climbs and stuff like that growing up. And then other than that, we did have some ponies. So my mum grew up with horses and she transferred kind of that love of horses over to me. So most of my time was spent outdoors, either riding horses or messing around with cars in fields, basically.
That sounds interesting. I love the outdoor life. I spent a lot of my life in the military. So I wasn't really introduced to that until I joined the armed forces. And
yeah.
Like a duck to a water. In fact, most of the time I still miss it now. So you mentioned that you're not from a sporty family. So when did you get involved in the sports and fitness industry then?
Gosh, after I left school, really. So I didn't like school PE, like a lot of ladies that I see these days. I didn't get on with team sport. I enjoyed sports day, like the athletics type of stuff. But yeah, it wasn't really till I left school. I was about 17 when a friend of mine and I ventured into a leisure centre gym just to go and have a look. We'd been using the swimming pool. And we went in and it kind of started from there. But obviously at the age of 17, I didn't really know what I was doing. But I enjoyed being in there, I enjoyed lifting the weights. And I enjoyed what it did to my body. Late teens, lost that slightly. So that's when I did my move up to Edinburgh. And I actually worked in orthopaedics for the University of Edinburgh up there. And that was my party year. So I was a late developer. But in my late teens, up in Edinburgh, most weekends were party weekends. And consequently, when I came home in my early 20s, I was fat. So really, I kind of discovered the gym and I dabbled in it. It wasn't until my early 20s when I came home and I was desperately unhappy with what I looked like that I actually started running originally. So I did distance running because I figured if I ran long distances, I could eat more food as well. Yeah, I started distance running in my early 20s and my mum joined me then and we did actually run marathons, half marathons. We did part of the Grand Union Canal Race, that was 47 miles, until my sort of mid-20s where then I did a bit of a U-turn and went into track sprinting. Okay, but all the way through that, I used to use the gym to improve my sporting performance. So I'd be in the gym deadlifting and squatting, all that kind of stuff, to help with the running.
Okay, I was going to ask you. Obviously, if you go into the gym, did you back in those early days? Were you straight on the weights, or were you just or more spending more time on the cardio?
No, I hate gym cardio. It's the most boring thing in the world. If you're going to go and run outside as far as I'm concerned. I was in using the weights, but It was quite unusual because I'm not that young actually anymore, but it's going back quite a while now. And people like Paula Radcliffe were big then. They were in the gym doing things, and people were like, oh, look at people who are distance running in the gym. It was quite unusual back then to be doing it. And I was studying for my second degree at that time. So I was at the University of Gloucestershire studying for my sport education degree. One of the lecturers actually commented about how unusual it was to have somebody in the gym picking up big weights who was somebody outside of the gym running marathon distances. Yeah. So it was a little bit unusual, but I loved it. I loved being in the gym. I always have done.
Well, I think that's. I mean, it's really good hearing that as well, because I mean, myself and Jackie are both in the gym as much as we can, and quite often you'll be in there and you'll see the. You're in the gym, and quite often you look at the treadmill and you'll see these people on the treadmill, and I hate to say it's generally girls, and they're on the treadmill and running, and they're on their phone and they've got their headphones in, and you're just thinking to yourself, it's doing you absolutely no good at all, and obviously you're a big advocate for lifting, and the importance of it, Yeah,
absolutely.
Also, the other point that you made, so when we first started out in our martial arts journey, if you were a martial artist, you did martial arts. If you did running, you ran. If you played football, you played football. And it wasn't really, I would say, probably until the late 90s, mid-90s, that people started to, or sports science started to develop, where people needed to understand, well, actually doing weights and strengthening your muscles and enhancing your muscles through weightlifting and sport-specific exercises is actually a benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
The best way to improve was to do that sport as it is, but actually understanding how to cross-train, brings greater benefits to your individual sports as well.
Yeah, and injury prevention as well, which I'm sure,
yes. You're aware. No, we did a lot of that. So obviously footballers and hamstrings is the big one and always has been. But when I was studying for my sport education degree, and in fact I did my undergraduate dissertation in strength training youth athletes, and that was, kids aged 11 to 13, and how we could improve their sporting performance, minimize risk of injury by using gym-based exercise with them. Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned the youngsters. Do you ever do anything in the schools, Kelly? Do you ever go into schools to do any sort of education, anything in schools?
I have been into schools. It's been a little while since I've done anything in schools, but I spent about 8 years working in education and really enjoy working with youth athletes. And actually quite often still now, I've got members at the gym who have got daughters and sons who come in and do stuff with me. So my eldest son, he's 14, and he's big into his BMXing. But in the winter, when he gets off his school bus and it's dark already and he can't go out and ride, he comes to the gym and we do plyometric work and all that kind of stuff. So that through the off season then in BMXing, he can come back stronger when the clocks go forwards again and the nights are lighter, and he can get back out on his BMX. It's definitely got a place in every sphere.
No, for sure. You say your son's 14?
Yeah, my eldest. I have 3 boys.
Okay. I've got 2 and my eldest is 14 as well. So
interesting age.
He's going for that real grumpy, locks himself in his bedroom, doesn't want to speak to anyone stage, So
I get the grumpiness.
Well, luckily, I mean, I'm quite lucky because Harry, and Jack, both my 2 boys, they're both black belts, and they both come and train regularly in Taekwondo with me, which is great. So even though I'm out there teaching, I still get to see my boys as well, which is brilliant. Great. And I know it has its challenges though, being the instructor and having your kids in the class, because they try to push you. They know which buttons to push as well.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, when did you get into the competitive side of fitness then, Kelly?
Oh my gosh. So that would have been, I did my first ever competition 10 months after my second son was born. 2010, we got married. 2012.
Okay.
So it feels like a long time ago. And really, it was my husband's influence. So he's from a sporting background. He's always been good at sport. So cycled at a national level, was really good at rugby, swimming, all that. So totally the opposite to me, because I was never good at any of that stuff. But he's from that background and trained and competed at a relatively high level. And again, like me, always used like circuit training and weight training in the gym to enhance sporting performance. And when we met in our mid-20s, both of us were using the gym. And he wasn't cycling anymore, but I think if you're someone who is of that nature, so you're naturally competitive, having something to focus on and work towards is quite important, which is why he got into the bodybuilding. So I supported him at his first show, and going along to that show and seeing the guys and the girls up on stage in absolutely phenomenal condition is what inspired me to give it a go. And so I did. Months after my second son was born. So most years I set myself a challenge, and it'd always been more of a running based challenge up until that point. So I'd challenge myself to run either the furthest distance or climb one of the mountains or something like that. So the 1 year my challenge was to get on stage in the best shape I'd ever been in, and months after I'd had my second son.
Okay, how much training did you do whilst you were pregnant to maintain your physique?
I trained all the way through all of my pregnancies. I think because I'd already been training at a certain level, my body was used to it, so I was fine. I had to modify some exercises, but I can't remember if it was my second son or my third son. People in the gym were having kittens because I was about, I think, 34 odd weeks pregnant, and I was box jumping still.
not deadly.
Yeah, I mean, you can. The thing is, if you're used to it, and I think we forget that as primitive human beings, women would have been pregnant and still out hunting and gathering and doing all of that kind of. Our bodies are pretty amazing things. I think we sometimes end up being a little bit precious about ourselves. Yeah, I trained, like I said, I modified some exercises, but I trained all the way through each of my pregnancies.
Okay, like I say, I think it's important, isn't it, to always have that goal. I mean, I'm very much a goal setter, as is Jackie. You know what I mean? I think when you've been involved in amateur professional sports at a fairly decent level, it's always important to have that goal, whether it's in business or in fitness.
Yeah.
To, small-term goals, long-term goals, and to do things in the sort of bite-sized chunks. Have those bite-sized goals to keep winning. You know, with an end goal in mind.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And I think unless you've got a goal, then what are you working towards? And whether that's getting on a stage as a competitive bodybuilder, or it's a weight loss goal, or you want to get into a certain dress or a pair of jeans, it doesn't really matter what that is, but having something fixed in your mind and be able to break that down and work towards it is absolutely key to staying on track and actually getting results.
Yeah, I mean, you said in the early part of the interview that when you first finished university that you felt fat, and when you were in the gym, and was that a big inspiration for you? Was that your why to try and lose that weight and to get into shape? Would you say?
Yes, because it's just horrible feeling horrible. And I know what it feels like to not actually want to go out for a night out because there's not an item of clothing you want to put on that you feel comfortable in. And it's a horrible feeling. And I get a lot of ladies who come to me who I know feel that way. And having been there, I understand it. And also on the flip side, how amazing it feels to get into a piece of clothing that you haven't worn for a long time. But not just that. I think it's more than just the physical side. So I've got ladies who I work with who have completely changed their lives because of going through the process of losing weight or getting on a stage. I've got ladies who've set up businesses. One of my ladies who's come off antidepressant medication, because the power of this goes beyond just the physical. It is also that emotional, mental and spiritual even. It all comes together.
Yeah, I mean, so was just chatting to a chap on the podcast earlier on, and was just talking about the benefits of exercise in general. You know what I mean? And it's so frustrating when you're really trying to educate people about it and they just don't want to listen, and they're very much like, well, no, it's not going to work for me, or I've tried that, and it's so, having been on the journey that you've been on. And you know the benefits are so great, and you can, like you say, you can get off antidepressants, you can get rid of all those sort of things just purely through exercise. But it's difficult when you're banging your head against a brick wall and people just don't want to listen. And you must see that all the time in your industry.
I do see it all the time. I was only chatting to someone about this literally over the weekend. We've got people who come to the gym who have got injuries or things wrong with them. I've got one of my ladies at the moment with bad elbow, and really what I wanted was for her to be able to go and have it scanned so we knew what was going on with it, because the likelihood is with a bit of rehab we can probably make it, and maybe some supplementation, we can probably make it feel a lot better. But the doctors wouldn't even scan it, they just wanted to go straight in with an injection, which is just, it's crazy to me how you can just administer something without knowing what the underlying problem is. But I think this is part of the problem, that people just see medication as a quick fix without thinking longer term, which is what this is. It's absolutely a long-term journey that you've got to be prepared to be on. But we live in a culture now where everything happens so quickly and everything's convenient and fast that people expect to get the body they want or start to feel better or start to improve mental illness, things like anxiety and depression, with a snap of a finger. And it really isn't like that. It takes patience and practice and a lot of hard work. But I think that's part of the issue. Sorry?
Patience, practice and commitment.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You've got to be committed to putting in the hard work literally every single day for a long time. People underestimate how much work it takes to do anything, whether it's losing weight or growing a business, which is why so many people quit so early on, because they expect to see results really quickly. And when they don't get them instantaneously, they quit thinking that it's not working, when the reality is it just takes time.
People want that instant gratification, don't they? Because you can go onto Google and get the answer within split seconds. People think the answer is there within a split second for everything. And that's, whether it's the fitness industry, martial arts and business, like you've said, it's just not the case. You have to have that patience. You have to put in the hard work. You have to have your long-term goals and your short-term and medium-term goals to work towards to get to exactly where you want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you just talk us through then, we talked about long-term goals and short-term goals just there.
Yeah.
To your routine and the discipline that you needed to get to your IBFA Miss England title.
Yeah, so a lot of people talk about off-season and comp prep. I think it's quite an old school way of looking at things, because for me, whether you're off-season or you're on comp prep, it's all the same. You're still working towards the same goals. So I train just as hard in what I call pre-prep rather than off-season, because the connotation with off-season is that you go and train hard and you eat and you get fat, which I don't agree with, because I don't think it's unhealthy to have that weight fluctuation. So my off-season, I train just as hard as when I'm on my prep for a competition. I'm training 5-6 days a week, sometimes up to 7. Really, that's down to me, and I find it really hard to do rest days, which is ridiculous because I know rest days are part of growing and training and all that kind of stuff.
And some of the training days, aren't they?
I literally, so I have trained up to 7 days before now. My body can take it, but at the moment, and it'll probably stay like this for a long time now because I'm in pre-prep currently, training 5 days a week. I call them active recovery days because it makes me feel better that it's not just a rest day and I'm still doing some cardio or like a little HIIT circuit or something like that. I'm a bodybuilder, so I tend to split my training up into either body parts or like a push-pull session. So I'm not in with heavy squats and deadlifts because I don't need those compound moves as a bodybuilder. I'm not looking for strength and power. And for me, the risk to reward factor with certain lifts like that just isn't there as a bodybuilder. And then eating is absolutely key for anything. So last weekend I put in 400 calories. I'm slowly adding in calories. So this summer, because no one wants to be fat over summer, I did like a little bit of a cut, even though I wasn't competing this year. I'm just slowly adding my calories back in now. So my body's using those calories for the training. So last week I hit PBs, personal bests, on all of my lifts. So I'm using those calories in the gym. And what I'll do is I'll keep adding those calories in now through my pre-prep until I get to the point where I'm feeling a little bit fluffy, I'll call it. And then if I need to do a little mini cut, I'll do a little mini cut. But the point is, when I start my prep, which will be January for next May, so I tend to do a long cut. I'll come in and I should have increased my size and my strength in this season now without actually putting on too much body fat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when's the next competition for you then, Kelly?
Next May, I'm doing a qualifier for the British finals, which will be in June.
Okay. That sounds, the challenge is on. So how difficult do you find it to cut as you're getting a little slightly older? Have you had to change your methods? Because certainly the reason I asked that, in martial arts, I studied competitive fighting when I was 32.
Okay.
I could drop 6 kilograms in a week quite comfortably, just by upping my calorie output and stopping my calorie input.
You mean stopping eating?
Yeah, stopping eating.
Stop eating and move more.
Run about 8 miles a day and train twice.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not a healthy way to do it. And certainly as I got older, I found I had to increase the calorie output. You know, I'd go for an 8-mile run with a 20k weight vest and a sauna suit on. Yeah, and still drop the food drastically just to get down to the weight that I needed. So are you finding that a challenge, or are you managing that through your diet?
No, it is a challenge. I think for anybody, it's a challenge. And I think especially when you're talking about getting as lean as you're expected to be on a bodybuilding stage. So I compete in trained figure. So it's one of the hardest, sort of leanest looks that I'm going for. And basically I'm asking to push my body to go to places it just doesn't, you know, physiologically, biologically want to go to. Definitely as I've got older, it's got harder. And unfortunately for me, I have the body type where if I so much as lick a jam donut, that's 2 kilos gone on there. So
what's your nemesis? Mine's always Jaffa cakes, I tell you.
Oh my gosh, I don't think I have a specific nemesis, but only because it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I have that better relationship with food. Yeah, a long time and a lot of practice. But
it's one of those, isn't it, where it's just a routine as well, isn't it? And the more, I mean, I've gone through stages where I've gone, right, you know, this is the time now. I'm going to get to the gym every morning. I'm going to keep training. I'm going to watch my diet. I'm going to have my chicken and my rice. And I have my protein shakes. And it goes really well for about a month or so. And all of a sudden, you know, the kids will open a packet of donuts or Jaffa cakes. And the next thing you know, I'm going to the shop and I'm buying a basket of Jaffa cakes. I'm like, it's just not worth it. I just want to get fat now. I'm just going to sit and eat. It's not, who cares? But then all of a sudden you get to this like slippery slope. Yeah, but I'm talking for the audience here, Jackie. I'm sure there's many of other people in the same boat as me.
Yeah, no, there are.
Yeah, and so yeah, but it is at the end of the day, it's just that mindset, it's that discipline, and it's that, you know, that why you're doing it. You know, is it if you? Yeah,
and I had one of my ladies who she competed a couple of weekends ago actually, and on comp prep, she ate an entire packet of biscuits one day. It's exactly the same thing as you're talking about. So everybody will be able to relate to that. And not just her, but I've had clients who message me and say, you know, it's been 4 days and it's really bad. I'm at the point where I'm getting up and eating ice cream for breakfast. I've honestly had that message before. And the thing is, I think we get so caught up in beating ourselves up over what we've done that we forget to accept it for what it is and move on. So I always say to any of my clients, at some point you are going to slip up. That's inevitable. It's going to happen. But when you do, it's an opportunity to learn about yourself. And the quicker you can accept that you've done it, draw a line under it and move on. So my one lady, she said, tomorrow will be a better day. And I was like, no, you draw a line under it now. Your next meal is a meal that's on plan and you're back on track from now. But the more you do that, the quicker you learn to draw a line under it and move on. So I think that's part of the process. When you fall off the wagon, it's just an opportunity to learn about yourself.
Yeah, it makes me laugh because I went and spoke to my 14-year-old son last night. And I went into his bedroom. I mean, you probably relate to this. And I looked at his bin and there was like packets of biscuit wrappers in there. I said, "Where's all this lot come from?" He goes, "Oh, no, don't worry, Daddy. I've said, you know, in 2020, I'm going to be on a fitness for the whole year. I'm going to get really fit in 2020. I said, "Well, that's ages away, Harry. Why don't you start now?" "Yeah, but we've got Christmas coming up." Yeah. I said, "Yeah, but you're going to have Christmas in 2020 as well, aren't you? So what are you going to do then?" And he goes, "Yeah, but I'll be into it then." And I'm like, "Okay, fair enough." But I suppose it's good that he's thinking like that. But it did make me laugh. Just interestingly, one of my students currently is on the ketones diet. I don't know if you've heard of this one.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it? I mean, when he explained it to me, I did think, I don't know if I like the sounds of that. It didn't sound natural to me. I don't know what your thoughts are.
There are so many different diets out there. I think there are good aspects and bad aspects of a lot of diets out there. The thing that really gets me with a lot of the plans that are out there at the moment, whether it's vegan or keto or whatever it is that you're doing, is that a lot of them aren't designed to be sustainable and don't change your thought patterns and mindset around food and your relationship with it. Yeah. Which is where I try to be with my ladies. And really, it's not about being on a specific diet. It's about eating a healthy, balanced diet. I think just a minute ago, you mentioned chicken and rice. So everybody thinks that bodybuilders just eat chicken and rice and broccoli. And a lot of people say...
Yeah, that's me. You know what? I love a bit of chicken and rice. Chicken and rice and broccoli in the morning is just what I need.
Oh, it's so disgusting.
After a month's education with you, Kelly, he is absolutely awful.
But you can write me a plan if you want, Kelly.
Broccoli's, you know what? Broccoli's, have you ever looked at the FODMAP foods?
No.
Speaking
Go and have a look at FODMAP foods. So they're foods that potentially cause issues in your digestive system. So if you suffer with IBS or you have sensitivities to some of these foods, they'll cause issues, which is why a lot of people who eat things like broccoli have issues with wind and bloating and stuff like that, because it's on that list. It's a FODMAP food. It tastes disgusting, and it makes you fart. Why would you want to eat it?
I'm just checking. We've not got a smell sense on this microphone.
But yeah, I mean, people do. The thing is, chicken's great because it's high in protein, but there's not a lot else in chicken. So most of the clients who we've got coming through the gym now are eating things like steak, minced steak, and salmon, because all of those meats and fish are not only high in protein, but they're high in micronutrients as well, which is something you don't get from chicken.
And creatine, presumably.
Yeah, that as well. Creatine's. Now, I supplement with creatine, but not for sporting performance. So I take 5 grams in the morning with my morning drink, because there is a lot of research that has come out recently that links creatine to mental acuity. I've got dementia and Alzheimer's in both sides of my family, so I'm pretty much screwed as I get older. Okay. So if I can do anything that's preventative now, and obviously exercise is a massive one for that, then I will. And yeah, so creatine I take, but not for sporting performance. Some people find it helps. Others don't. I think it comes down to individual people and what works for them and what doesn't. But I actually use it for that very reason, that there might be a link between brain function and using creatine.
Okay,
that's interesting. Yeah. It's like you say, with a lot of these supplements and a lot of the diets, it's about what's geared around the individual body, isn't it? So I certainly, when I work in the gym, I cycle on creatine a month on, a month off. Yep. On my month on, my power goes through the roof.
Wow. Okay.
On the month off, I feel like a weak little kitten. I really do. I can actually, whether it's psychological, I don't think it is psychological, but I can actually physically feel it.
Yeah.
It's no different to making sure that you've got the right calories in your body before a session. Mm-hmm. Some people prefer to go to the gym with nothing in their bellies to try and burn fat. All sorts of different challenges from different people. But certain things work for some people and others for others.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Finding that right balance, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And I say that to anybody I work with. So quite often people will have a nutrition plan from me. And I always say to people, it's a case of suck it and see. So have a week or two on it, be consistent on it, and then let's see where we are. Because sometimes we nail it straight away. They're happy on it. Their body responds to it. They love the foods they're eating. They don't want to go and stuff their face with cakes. But sometimes it's not quite there yet, and it needs a little bit of tweaking, and it comes down to working with individual people and learning about them and how their bodies respond and what works for them.
Okay, cool. Okay, Kelly, just moving on a little bit, maybe away from personal development, more into the business side of it. So when did you sort of get involved with running your own gym?
So the gym's been open 5 years this summer, and it came about, so the gym was actually my husband's dream. So prior to owning the gym, he was a supervisor for a leisure centre gym. So obviously, big corporate gym. Really, all they're interested in, if we're being honest, is numbers on paper. So how many members they've got coming through the door. And my husband was relatively new into the fitness industry, not long before he took the job as supervisor. So he's someone coming in who's completely passionate about the industry and the ability of physical activity and nutrition to make a huge difference. He's come from a place where he's previously suffered with bad anxiety and depression in his late teens, especially to the point where he wasn't able to leave the house. So absolutely passionate about this kind of stuff and the ability to change lives with it. Ideas around services that could be offered and equipment and kit that would be of benefit to members. And obviously, when you're in a large corporation, sometimes they're just not interested.
Yeah.
So it was a source of frustration for him. And it got to the point where he didn't want to be at work anymore. And when we talked about it, his dream then was to open up a gym where he could do all of the things he wanted to do and provide a service that wasn't currently being provided.
Yeah, big decision, really, as a family.
Huge decision, absolutely huge decision. But we're a bit sad because our date nights usually usually revolve around finding a decent gym somewhere, having a session together, and then getting some food afterwards.
Okay, cool.
I'm not even joking. Our honeymoon hotel was based around whether it had a good gym or not. So,
nothing wrong with that at all, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. So we know what a good gym kind of looks and feels like. We know what kit works well and what doesn't. And in the Forest of Dean, you'd previously have to travel up to like Cheltenham or Gloucester or Hereford to find the kind of gym that we've opened up here. So yeah, it was a conversation around that, and yeah, I basically said to him, if you want to do it, let's go for it, and that's kind of where it started.
Great stuff. Well, I mean, you've hit the 5-year mark, which is great, which most businesses don't last 2. You know, that's always a good start. I mean, presumably the business is going well.
It is. We're in a period of growth at the moment, which is great. We've had our challenges as a business. So we've had 2 moves into 2 different units for a couple of different reasons. One of them, we ended up in a different area of the forest, which did not serve us very well at all. We've had a couple of things that could have potentially sent us under, really, but we're settled where we are now. We're in a period of growth. We're just looking at increasing our floor space by putting in a mezzanine floor and being able to offer sort of more functional stuff again, which is what we used to have. But yeah, it's going well, and we're kind of moving into a busy time of year now. So we always find that the gym will slowly get busier between now and Christmas for that reason, that Christmas is coming up, and I think people want to be able to justify indulging over Christmas. So it's starting to become quite a busy period for us now.
So what's the next step for the business then? I mean, in terms of capacity, are you whereabouts are you on capacity?
Ideally, we'd look to add another 100 or so members, and we've looked also into sort of automated systems so we can have earlier and later opening times and have a kind of membership option that's open to a set number of people so they can come in and train earlier or later if they need to. Longer term, like long term, I've already mentioned my oldest son is into his BMXing. What we'd really love to do is open up a facility for the Forest of Dean, which included an indoor skate park then, because obviously you've got skateboarders and stuff as well, with a gym and other bits attached to it. So we've currently got a barber and a beautician in the gym, like a facility in the forest where you've got the skate park, the gym, a barber's, a beautician's, a sports therapist, maybe some food on site, so that actually if you're a parent, you can come and you can work out and your kids can be safe next door in the skate park. So yeah.
And a martial arts gym.
Yeah, let's have. Do you know what we've had people come around looking for spaces for it because there's such limited space around here. We've had 2 or 3 people looking for space for martial arts. So yeah, no, I definitely would want a studio attached to the gym as well. So
yeah, this is it. Well, it's not just martial arts. Obviously, you've got martial arts, you've got yoga, you've got classes, and you've got things like the Les Mills type stuff as well, haven't you? I suppose.
Yeah, all hugely popular stuff at the moment as well.
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay then. So Kelly, obviously both you and your husband, you're both very motivated people. But what motivates you to get up in the morning?
Oh, I love what I do. It sounds really cliche, but I honestly do. I get up early. I'm often working late on my computer at night, but it doesn't bother me because I absolutely love what I do. I love the lifestyle. I completely live and breathe everything I preach to all of my clients. And it is exciting times. You know, we are in a period of growth at the moment with the gym and with my own coaching business as well. So I think when you're in that place and you can see, it's the same as when you're changing your body, you see change happening. Once you start to see the change, that's when you get motivated. People think you have to be motivated to start. You've normally got a reason for starting, but a true motivation doesn't normally come until you start seeing results. And that's where I'm at the moment. So I get up early. I normally do a walk in the morning first thing as well. So it sets me up for the day. And it's the chaos of getting 3 boys out the house on time.
That's a motivation thing in itself.
Yeah.
I've got 3 girls and they were never growing up things. That was hard work. I can imagine the fights for the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I don't see fights in the bathroom isn't such a thing. It's the whole finding your shoes up at the
smelly teenage boys.
Yeah, no, they're not worried about brushing their teeth or their hair. Yeah, they just can't find their shoes, and it takes them 20 minutes to put them on.
Yeah, and leave their pants outside the washing basket.
Not just outside the washing basket, like on the floor in the living room.
Oh yeah.
Yours are good, right? If they found a washing basket.
Don't even start my wife on wet towels on the floor.
It's so nice when you hear it's not just your house.
It's not just you. But I don't know if you follow Anthony Robbins at all.
No, I've seen some of his stuff.
Tony Robbins, and he always talks about the one driver. People are always looking for that success, but the key is progress.
Yeah.
As long as you're making progress, that's when the happiness is. I know for me, I'm involved with like a couple of different businesses and things like that. But when you work hard and all of a sudden you feel like you're making progress, then you feel like, yes, you get that buzz of, it's like, I suppose it's like the gym or like martial arts, when you can feel yourself improving and you're making progress all the time, that's when the real sort of happiness is. It's not so much the end goal, it's the journey, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it has to be, because there's never really an end goal, is there?
No, there isn't.
Because when you get there, there's always something else to work towards.
That's right. You always looking for. I mean, I'm the same. I achieve something, look for the next challenge. It drives my girlfriend potty. Right, we're going to do this next, or I'm thinking of doing that, and it's one achievement after the next. And you just keep going.
Yeah.
And, I'll probably never be satisfied. Always looking for the next mountain to climb.
Yeah, no, I completely. I think it can cause issues sometimes, because I think not everybody gets it, but I'm totally on that wavelength. I've got one of my friends who says to me, "I wish I could say no to you," because she gets sick of me saying, "Right, this is what we're going to do next."
Well, that's not a bad thing. Some people need dragging along on the journey, don't they? Then?
Sure. Yeah. But I think it's an exciting time if you are an entrepreneur, or you see yourself as a business owner, or with the modern advances in things like social media and software and
general digital technology.
Just leverage as well. There's so many. So you can go onto places like Fiverr.com, for instance, and you can find somebody to do a task for you. So the days when a business owner has to do everything on their own, you don't need to now. You can outsource all of those jobs that you don't like doing to people who are experts in those fields. You can focus on the thing that you're good at, which is, for you, is obviously teaching, and for us, it's teaching martial arts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's never been an easier time to be able to do that in business, and we definitely should be making the most of it. So yeah, I've used Fiverr before. Facebook is, how brilliant is Facebook? I know it has its down points as well, but if you're running a business, you've got an entirely free platform.
If it wasn't for Facebook, we wouldn't be interviewing you today.
No. Exactly, yeah, and that's it. I think the power to connect with people from all walks of life and from all over the world is incredible, and people should be using that opportunity.
Yeah, you think. It sounds like you're similar sort of ages to myself and Jackie. And you think when you were a kid, if you could just reach out to, I used to be a big Bruce Lee fan or a big Jackie Chan fan, but these days, if you're a fan of something, or you've got someone you aspire to be like, you can reach out to them on social media and chat to them. I
know.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's incredible. It really is. I remember having to reverse charge the public payphone when my car had broken down with the rain. Yeah. Like, it's such a different world, and my kids will never understand that.
It's a payphone.
Showing me age now.
That's when your phone's not topped up, isn't it? A payphone or a pay-as-you-go these days, I think.
Okay, so we're reaching the sort of end of this interview then. Okay, like I say, it's been amazing to chat to you, and I think the audience will definitely get a lot of insight and a lot of good content from what we've talked about today. Obviously, we're more than happy to plug your gym. So just to tell the audience, just like I said, whereabouts your gym is and what sort of things it offers.
Okay, so we're Iron Masters Gym, based in Cinderford in the Forest of Dean. We are predominantly a bodybuilding, powerlifting gym. That's kind of our specialty, but we've got people from all walks of life and all shapes and sizes who come and train with us. I think one of our eldest members, Mazzy, she's 70, and she's amazing as well. If I look like Mazzy when I'm 70, I'm going to be well happy. So yeah, we're a really well kitted out gym. We've got PTs who work with us who are brilliant. They're amazing at their job. We're incredibly passionate about what we do. We're knowledgeable. We've got experience. We know all of our members who come through, so their families, what they do for a job, and all that kind of stuff. But not only do we offer the chance to kind of come in and train with us on a physical level, but we also offer nutrition consultancy and training and eating plans and things like that as well. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And they can find you on Facebook. And have you got a website, Kelly?
We're on Facebook. Yeah, we've got a website, imastersgym.com, I think it is. So I don't even realise what my own website is. I don't think many people go and use websites anymore. But yeah, on Facebook. We're on Instagram as well. So we're pretty easy to find.
Fantastic. It's been brilliant having you on, Kelly.
No, thank you. It's been fab chatting to you both.
Okay, thanks very much, Kelly. Really appreciate taking the time out.
Cheers, guys.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode of the Motivated Martial Artist podcast. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page and our Facebook group, the Motivated Martial Artist podcast.
And don't forget also the Motivated Martial Artist Instagram page.
So head along for some extra content, interviews and much more.
So until next week, it's bye from Jackson
And Gavin?
the Motivated Martial Artists.